Our habits from infancy are so struggling, you struggle so much to change, and it's not something that comes, naturally. You need to push yourself a little bit at the beginning. When you get used to eat a little more qualitative, okay, when you are pushing yourself to try to switch from hamburgers and hot dogs and everything on the go to a big salad and a piece of meat which is like the size of your of your hand without fingers, okay, so like 100 grams of something, chicken or I don't know, red meat or a fish or anything else, at the beginning you struggle to enjoy that kind of food, but believe me, with the time you will get used and you will truly enjoy the process. I mean, at least for me it worked. So, and I started to reduce my weight considerably. I mean, I was like a 64 basically until not so far ago, and now I'm basically 60, and I'm even going lower and lower. For my height, which is 1 meter and 67 centimeters, my ideal weight would be between 55 and 57 kilograms. In such case, I would be a 38 to 40 size. So I still need to do some work, and it's not always and only about alimentation. It's also to include some sports activity, because when you do an office job, you tend to do less activity. Even just by walking you do less. So it's up to you to include into your program, to create a good diary program. So alimentation needs to be focused, but also it needs to be accompanied with good sports activity. I don't need, and you don't need to go like every day to push yourself for hours but at least like 30 minutes a day, find it for yourself and just have a running around the block, or I don't know, just some bicycle, for example, or something else, for example swimming, or any kind of activity that moves your muscles, that creates a little bit of makes your blood running good into your body, and that will help you also digest better, to actually feel yourself better, be more energized. And for example, I can also share the fact that I also make fasting, basically at least 5 days a week, and 2 days I relax and do something else. But for 5 days a week I try to eat in 4 hours a day. For example, in the morning I do my coffee at about 9 o'clock, then I make a running, a shower, and at about 10 o'clock I do my breakfast, protein breakfast, and then I do my lunchtime around the 12 o'clock, and maximum at 1 o'clock p.m. I stop eating like any kind of foods. I just drink water, drink green tea, and basically that's all until the next day, and it's the same thing. So, and this is a kind of regime that helps to boost your metabolism very much and makes you feel very energized. Believe me, I mean, it's harsh maybe the first week because you feel hungry in the first times, but when you drink water and when you drink tea, you kind of put something into your stomach that are 0 calories, okay? So your body will start burn the fats that it has accumulated in the past, and it helps burn that unnecessary fats, and that's great. I mean, it helps you to arrive at the level that you desire, and when you are there, you can reduce, maybe for fasting like 3 days a week, and 4 days a week you just consume regular like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Of course, not exaggerating, and keeping in mind the same and always, what kind of food you consume. because this book and many other books that basically I read, I mean, on the library that I have behind me are a small selection of the books that I keep under my hand, because I like to, in the evenings or when I have the time, I just like to relax myself and, you know, read something else. It helps me to, you know, keep my mind opened, and also, you know, focused on important aspects of life, and alimentation. It's one of the important aspects of the life. You know, it helps you stay in shape and stay healthy, and that's the most important, you know, condition in order to achieve everything else. So yeah, coming back to the Chinese study, again, Mr. Campbell made his judgment based on the studies on the casein, which is the protein of the fresh milk, and based on those results, he applied on all the proteins of animal origin, affirming that they all influence the same way our body. This kind of affirmation was rejected by the scientific community. So we still don't know for sure how dairy products like fresh milk influences our body, but what I can say that particular products like kefir and natural yogurts, at least for myself, it works very well. You know, in normal doses, not exaggerating. Don't drink like 1 liter per day. It's, you know. Now another thing is that Dr. Campbell was affirming that casein present in the milk is a powerful trigger activator for the cancer. So on this matter, other studies actually confirms that there truly exists a correlation between the evolution of cancerogenic cells and the consumption of proteins, but generally proteins both of animal and vegetarian origin, vegetal origin. In fact, it doesn't matter the origin of the protein itself, but the impact it has on our organism. So affirming that all proteins are of animal origin can highly expose our body and lead to cancer, Dr. Campbell arrived at the conclusions that the best is to become a vegan. So therefore consume only proteins of vegetarian origin, like for example beans and tofu and soybeans, quinoa, etc., etc. Campbell takes the registered data from his studies and is affirming that there is a direct relationship between alimentation and cardiovascular diseases, cancer, and diabetes. And he's convinced that one can lower the risk of developing any of the above diseases, arrest or even slow down its evolution if it is already occurred, by changing alimentation habits and becoming a vegan. You know, a declaration, an affirmation that the scientific community did not approve completely because there are not sufficient data confirming this affirmation. Arriving at the conclusion that a diet based on foods of vegetarian origin reduces dramatically, you know, the probability of developing such illnesses like diabetes and even obesity was practically avoided. So, however, there is to say that at the present time, no scientific studies proving that a vegan diet is useful or even beneficial to our health and helps, you know, preventing cancer diseases. So that's, I think, a decision that every one of us must do it for yourself, and I think needs to consider many other factors. Maybe you are just an animal lover, and for respect of that, you decide to become a vegan. That is, a reason that is more based, that has more reasoning of being, So yeah, it's a very personal decision to make. I personally think that becoming a vegan will not exclude the risk of developing these diseases, at least not if you continue consuming processed foods, because they're so popular in vegan markets, and I think it's not a good way of, not a quality way of consuming products. They're also often rich in trans fats, and sugar. So I truly doubt the quality of these products. I mean, not all of them. For sure, there are some, maybe brands or products that are more, selective. But you need to read the ingredients and read it every time you buy a product, because many of them just have a lots of additives and conservants, and I think it's not a good stuff. So however, if you have the possibility of harvesting your own vegetables, or maybe a reliable supplier of bio products, well, in this case it may be a good idea at least trying for a period, I don't know, for 6 months or a year, become a vegan, so have a balanced vegan diet. And after a period of 6 to 12 months, you just see how you feel yourself, and take some blood testing, but full blood testing, in order to analyze all the values of your blood testing, and then you will see more clearly if it indeed changed something into your system, or is the same, or maybe it's worse. I don't know. That might be a reliable source, a certainty on which you can base your judgments and decide for future proper alimentation. At last, there is still to be said that there are other major scientific studies confirming that a diet with reduced consumption of proteins, of fats of animal origins, matched with varied and balanced consumption of dairy products like eggs and fish. Basically, we're talking about the Mediterranean diet that is rich in proteins, okay, but also dairy products, eggs and fish. Well, this kind of dietary plan, reduces the risk of developing cancer and cardiovascular illnesses. Even a moderate consumption of meat is compatible with a balanced nutrition. So finally, I would add that only a balanced diet will not exclude the risk of developing illnesses, any kind of illnesses. You will need to include sports activities and reduce stress, provoking high levels of cortisol, therefore, getting, illnesses of different kinds. So, important arguments that in this book are not mentioned, or just, touched a little bit, since the accent is made on the dietary plan, but all of them, alimentation, exercising, and stress release, all of them influence our healthcare. So it is to take into consideration. Now, concluding, what is the most recommended dietary plan according to the Chinese study? They recommend eating daily raw fresh fruits and vegetables of different colors, because they have different vitamins and minerals, and I agree with that completely. I would also add here, choose the best suppliers you can, because that harvest natural products that are with no pesticides and other stuff that usually is added to grow faster. Consume more vitamin C, because it is a powerful antioxidant, but also vitamin E, which is another powerful antioxidant. Concentrate your meals in consuming vegetarian protein. That is the recommendation of the book. I would say the book says whole grain cereals are rich in fiber, so not the ones that are refined carbohydrates, although I must say that all the carbs, all carbohydrates influence the insulin level and causes insulin resistance, which is not great. It may depend on the quantity and the frequency. You consume carbs and fats and proteins, but this book is basically saying, be a vegan, consume fruits and vegetables, and take a good source of vegetable origin, right? So completely exclude the meat. These are the recommendations of the book. You will need to take into considerations, however, the calories that you ingest, because a diet that is based on carbs, proteins of vegetarian origins, and oils that are very often rich in omega-6, which is a pro-inflammatory fat. I don't think it's great. Again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a nutritionist, but I tend to read a lot. And as a consumer, as a regular consumer, as any one of you, I'm just, reflecting upon, different studies, and I do my own considerations, drawing conclusions. And I think that just excluding completely some kind of, products, for example, protein of animal origin, I think it's not the best way, Actually, our grandfathers and brothers, they were consuming animals. They were hunters, hunters. And our body is actually used to consume the proteins of an animal. Just choose good quality. Make your own considerations. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about the Chinese study, if you read the book, if you read the researches, and if you agree with their affirmations, because maybe among you are, those true believers who would say that, yes, well, I am like vegan for 20 years, and I, eat according to the book, and it's great, etc. So share your opinion if you have that kind of experience. I would like to know, and I think also other readers. I don't know. That's basically my opinion on this study, on what it has to say and to advise. That was everything that I wanted to share in this video. Thank you for your attention. Let me know in the comments what other books on the thematics about alimentation programs did you read, and you consider that I should also make a reading, because I like to do so. In the meantime, just take care of yourselves. Subscribe to my channel if you want to enjoy my company and you want to see more of my videos. I would love to have you in my among my subscribers. Take care in the meantime. Ciao.